Hey everybody, and welcome back to my garden. It's the middle of September here, and we've been able to pull a lot of really good harvests out of the garden, but that frost is just around the corner. We're actually past our average first frost date, and while we haven't had a frost yet, we have had a lot of cool nights. So I've been busy harvesting a lot of stuff, pulling stuff out of here, and I just wanted to give you a quick little tour to see where we're at here mid-September, right before we hit our frost. I pulled up all the banana peppers here, and as you can see, the tomato plants are dying. And we go down here, the celery is dying. Celery can tolerate the cool temperatures, but this bed just was not very good for them. They like a lot of water. These are new beds this year, so it's all new soil, and it just was not the right optimum soil for these celeries. But I want to, if I trim them up, this stuff coming up the middle, I could save, and we could potentially get a little bit of a harvest out, because you can see this one here is perked back up in the middle. We have had quite a bit of harvest off these tomatoes. Our favorites this year have been these black cherry. They'll get a bit darker than that. And winner is the sun gold though. These are delicious. Delicious. Will be growing more next year. And then we also had this, these are the Brad's Atomic Grape, which they're just starting to ripen. We haven't had a lot, but my daughter says they're delicious, so we might try them again next year. And the center bed here is mostly died off. The flowers are still pretty, adding some color, and I've been able to save some of the seeds from the flowers. Here I had all my radishes I was saving for seed, which I have pulled up and saved. We did get an okay harvest off of the peppers. And here are some marigolds that are still pretty in bloom. Here I've again pulled up all the lettuce and peas I had been saving for seed and saved those seeds. The cucumber here is dying. Cucumbers are a heat-loving plant, so I'll just have to pick what's left here. This one's squishy. It'll go to the pigs. All the lettuce that was here had gone to seed, so we pulled that up and gave it to the pigs. But I did leave my jalapenos here because they have a lot of little jalapenos on them. So even though it's cold, these plants seem to be doing pretty good. I'm gonna try to maybe throw some plastic over top so we can maybe potentially get another round of jalapenos. These are the Anaheim peppers, which they need to get pulled. There's nothing left on there. Here we had all the beans that were pulled up. I had planted carrots in between, so some of them are growing. And then I just recently, probably about a week ago, planted radishes. So radishes can handle the cooler temperatures. They're all coming up really nicely. And then I also planted some spinach. So we have some spinach coming up as well. Because again, it can handle the cool temperatures. When they're little seedlings like this, they can't handle so much of a frost, but once they're more established, they can. So if they're little babies like this and we do get a frost, I'll just throw some plastic or even a bed sheet over top of them to protect them, and they'll be fine. Just the wild jungle over here. I have been pulling up all the mints and stuff and drying them for teas. All these pepper plants, I pulled off what few peppers were on them. There's a few coming more, like these here. Oop, jalapeno I just picked off. But I did plant some peas, and as you can see, they're flowering. So we will get another harvest of peas. Peas can handle the cool temperatures. And who doesn't love fresh garden peas? This bed here is pretty much done. We just have the flowers, one little patty pan, squash there. Calendula is gone, but we've been grabbing the seeds. The blueberries are all starting to turn color. It's one nice thing about blueberry plants is they do give you a lot of beautiful color in the fall. Look at that. And the grapes are doing awesome too. As you can see, I have lots of clusters of grapes. And now I'm just waiting for a couple of frosts because you want to leave those grapes on there for a few frosts and that will sweeten them up. These last potatoes in the box have started to finally die back, so I'll be harvesting those soon. The zinnias can also handle some cool temperatures, so hopefully those will keep blooming for me. And I mean, as you can see, the strawberries are still putting off flowers and we're still getting strawberries. They did this last year. They put strawberries up all the way until the last frost, which is really nice. And these are all the volunteer ground cherries, which are starting to ripen. Most of the time with ground cherries, as their name implies, you see them on the ground there. And the tomatoes here, again, we've been harvesting a lot, and they continually are turning red. Go down in here, actually. I'll probably have to harvest some. Again, these are the Scotia tomatoes, which do really well for my area. Kind of a slicer, just a medium size slicer. And the Roma tomatoes, again, they're turning as well. They're taking a little bit longer than the Scotia ones. Again, we've been able to harvest some nice tomatoes. Because we're getting colder temperatures and closer to all those frosts, I've been harvesting these tomatoes when they're half ripe, because they will ripen off the vine, and that will give the opportunity for the plant to ripen the rest of the tomatoes. This bed here, we had all the beans, which we've pulled up. I do have some oregano over here. It's gone to flower, as you can see. And that is a perennial here. It will come back. So what I'm going to do is, of course, clean up and weed the beds, and then I'll mulch it for the winter. And this kale here has just gone out of control. Kale can handle a frost, so we can just leave it and keep harvesting. The bugs seem to keep eating it too. And on the other side here, again, we have all the strawberries and the asparagus. It's starting to die back, as you can see. And I just leave these until they die back, because that's what's giving the roots energy to store for the winter, so we can have more asparagus next year. At the end over here, we have my fennel, which has been growing pretty good. And the horseradish as well has just done really, really well getting established here. So I'm very excited to be able to have our own horseradish. Over here to the tomatoes. These ones are the pink boar, and I've only pulled about 2 off of these plants ripe. So I mean, I could pull these ones, as long as they're shiny and starting to change a little bit, they will ripen off the vine. So here's one that's kind of starting to turn. So of course here we have to pull a lot off that don't ripen on the vine, because next to it is what's called the large barred boar, which again, they're starting to turn. Nice big tomatoes. We're a couple of days past our average first frost date, and while there are some cool temperatures, we do have, looking all the way through October, to have nice warm temperatures, so hopefully a lot of these will be able to continue to ripen. These ones here are the get stuffed. Those are those kind of hollowish ones. I haven't made stuffed tomatoes, but once we get a few ripened at the same time, I'm going to try doing stuffed tomatoes with those. We've pulled most of the carrots and onions that were in this bed. Again, some beautiful marigolds. These are the African marigolds, they're called, so they get a lot bigger than normal marigolds, but they take a lot longer to bloom. So I usually get these ones for the end of the season. These ones are called the Black from Tula. Again, they're starting. They don't get totally dark. They still have a bit of color to them after. And beside that are the Paul Robeson. And then I had a Cherokee Purple. Out of those 3, the Paul Robeson has done the best. I've gotten quite a few ripe ones off of there. And then beside that, I have, it's called a German Green, which are very hard to tell when they're ripe because they're green. If you just give them a squish, sometimes you can feel that they're ripe. Beside that, I have a Lemon Boy and a Gold Medal, and I've only gotten 1 ripe yellow one as well. And lastly, in this corner here, are what's called a Ponderosa Pink. And they've done really well. I've gotten a couple really big tomatoes off of them. In front of these tomatoes, I have some beets, which are looking really good. The okra never really did much. That's about as big of an okra as I've gotten. It just wasn't warm enough. I think it was really crowded. I pulled up the lettuce here that I'd saved for seed because we have some Swiss chard here, which Swiss chard again will handle the cooler temperatures. So we'll be able to do some harvests of that. And still a few little carrots lingering here. And then again, those marigolds. These tomatoes are the speckled Roman paste. So they're a nice big paste tomato, so meaty, good for sauces. I've gotten a few off of there. They have this nice little striped pattern to them. And then I still haven't pulled up my habaneros, but there's nothing on there. And we've got some carrots going there. Oh, and this is some basil. This is a cinnamon basil. It's gone to seed. This is the cilantro that went to seed, and I've saved them all. Now they're coriander seeds. And there's potatoes still in there I have to pick. Got some nice flowers here. Got the yarrow and the borage. Poppies, I've saved the seeds. Lots of weeding still, of course. There's the beautiful lavender. Cucumbers, again, are a heat-loving plant, so you can see the yellowing. They're starting to die off. We've gotten quite a good harvest off the cucamelons. And we've gotten a few of the lemon cucumbers. Ow, that was stinging nettle right there. I just put my finger in. It just stings a little. That is the lemon cucumber. And we've enjoyed those as well. And this is the Armenian cucumber. I am getting one, but they'll grow very, very long. And next over here is the celeriac, which dig down in there, you can see the big root. And we can leave those in for a little bit of a frost. This is hibiscus, and I've grown it for tea. They're beautiful flowers. And then the calendula, which just we leave for seeds, and I can save all the seeds. And these are some sunflowers. I planted them a little bit late, so we don't really get any flowers off of them. But that's okay. Maybe we'll get a super late fall and we'll get something. This is just all weeds, nothing planted in there yet. And again, not much has changed up here in this weedy mess. Gotta pull up the cabbages still. I've got all the garlic pulled up. We've been pulling onions up and harvesting the dill, making all our pickles. And then here we had 2 rows of beans, which we've pulled all the beans up and pulled them up. These are all tomatoes I just had extra and I planted them, didn't support them, and as you can see they just fall over and keep growing up. But once we get a frost warning, I'll just come and pick all these tomatoes. And these are the paste tomatoes, which are good for sauces, so we should get a decent amount. And on the other side here are my carrots, my fall carrot planting, which are looking really good. Come in here and thin them, but they'll handle a little bit of a frost and we should be able to get a second harvest of carrots. Sorry if there's windy sounds. Welcome to fall. So there still is a few bit of carrots down there. Here's all the beets. We've been pulling them up. This big guy here is one that's gone to seed. But they're still good to eat. So we've been eating those a little bit. I do still have some carrots tucked in here as well. This is my monstrosity of a turnip. I don't really know how edible it is because once they get big, they get quite woody. But I'll feed it to the pigs if anything, they'll enjoy it. Then over here, the nasturtiums are still growing strong. Very pretty. All down the middle there are my rutabagas. If we look in here, they're growing pretty good. The cucumbers are turning as well. We just picked actually our last kind of big pick yesterday. We left the little guys on, so if we do get a nice couple more weeks, we'll be able to do one more harvest. I've been harvesting all my onions here. And the dill turning brown here, it's all going to seed, which is nice, so we'll be able to save more seed for next year. The squashes are all doing good. Again, squashes, they like the heat, so they will start to slow down production. Any sort of frost will kill off the leaves. So we'll probably be picking all these soon. These got some big patty pans. Those are huge. Not really good for eating the skin, but they're really good for roasting. Basically treating it like a winter squash when you let them go this long, like a pumpkin or something. And those were the yellow ones, and these are the green ones. And we still got some yellow zucchini coming on. Again, this will all die with the frost, so we'll having to pick it. There's some big ones down there. And beside it, you can see there's a green one from the plant next door. Over here are those yellow crookneck, which can be picked as well. And the pumpkins have done really well. These ones actually I'm going to be picking right away because they are mature. I actually had to Google how to know when to pick your pumpkins because I've never really had to pick a pumpkin when it was ripe. I normally have to pick it because there's a frost and then it ripens off the vine. There's my big pumpkin there. And again, it's starting to turn, but I'm just gonna let it go until we get a frost or the plants really die back. This one here is the Howden pumpkin, and I will weigh it once we get it picked. And I have a couple more Howden pumpkins here. And actually, I think that might be a Howden one there as well. And then these little guys are the sugar pie pumpkins. And I have quite a few. I think when I counted total, I have 25. It's kind of nice once they start to turn because you can see them a lot easier. There's even one up hanging off the fence over there. Okay, and then over to the last little Three Sisters garden. I did do a little short video, I can link it below, about the results from this. I can do another quick update. So this is it's called Rainbow Gem Corn. It takes a very long time, so it was a very big experiment, but it's starting. So you want this to dry on the stalk, and this stuff is starting to, so we'll see. You can see before it dries, it's green. And then as it starts to dry, it's turning this dark red color. So we'll see if we get a couple more weeks. And then these are the squashes, which again, I'm gonna have to pick some of these soon. There is a buttercup squash. And we've had lots of beans too. These are the Scarlet Runner beans. Mostly I just save these for seeds. We'll probably actually be using a bit for the pig food because it's good protein. This little corn in the middle, we got, I think, about 5 little half cobs from it. Again, it was totally smothered and started late, but we did get to try a little bit. That over here, as you can see, the beans have just smothered the corn, and even the squash is just smothering it. So we'll be doing things a little different next year. But overall, there's a lot of food here still. We have lots of little pumpkins hiding. Those sugar pie pumpkins do really good. Woo! The wind. It's definitely fall weather. Everything's changing. And you can see, even though we haven't technically had a frost, this is all frost damage on these. So it's not long off. There's a little acorn, not ripe yet. There's a bigger one. It's more of a ripe acorn. Also got these ones, which I think are butter bush. I'll have to go check my package. And then lastly, we have the butternut squash. This guy is ready to pick. As you can see, the garden's definitely winding down, but there's still lots of stuff to do, lots of food that needs to be pulled out and dealt with. And then also there'll be the fall cleanup. I'm already excited about planting the garden next year. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.